Welcome back to another edition of Smoke Signals. I'm Matt Montgomery. He's head coach Wayne Coleman. And Coach, I don't know if they put this in your contract or not when you came here, but Jacksonville plays a lot of overtime games. I don't know if you saw that, but tough loss, Coach. I mean, double overtime, but the kids showed a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2, and I know that's what you really want.
Sure, you want to get better every week, and the kids did that. There's a lot of things we've got to work on still, but one of the things is not effort. Our kids play hard, and that's a tribute to them, their character. We've just got to really start honing down and getting better at the little details.
Just like the first game, it seemed like this game came down to just, man, 1 or 2, maybe 3 plays, that just didn't, that just something bad happened. And it kind of determined the outcome of the ball game. You think, well, double overtime, probably not, but I can think of 3 or 4 plays, particularly when you had a couple of first and goal situations that you weren't able to come away with points.
Yeah, anytime you are in a tight ball game, every little mistake gets magnified. And in this particular game, you can go back and you can find a lot of plays where just this one play, if we'd have just executed the simple thing. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is, you don't want to be asking your kids to do heroic effort things that they're just not capable of doing. What you want them to do is just do the little things, just do the simple things. And if we do that better than the other team, then you're going to have better results.
Improvement, obviously the passing game. I mean, it really improved a lot. I thought Cameron Hyde did a fantastic job just kind of creating space for himself to get the passes away. And the receivers did a good job catching the ball as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on it, and we're moving kids around. And when you've got a new program, a new system, you're going to be, early in the season, you're going to be moving a lot of kids around. And a lot of our improvement was we're starting to get kids into the right positions. And we're going to move some more kids this week, especially in the special teams. We're going to make some moves. So we look for more improvement this week.
Over 400 yards of total offense, better than the first week, so you got to feel good about that. Defensively, Coach Kennedy, the defensive coordinator, made a few changes somewhat, if you will, and the rushing defense was still pretty good, mm-hmm. but they had a couple of cats that could run the football, and the passing game was better too as well.
Yeah, we played a little better on our pass defense. You can't give up the big play, and you got to make them work for their touchdowns. And there was 2 instances where they just didn't have to work very hard.
After a game like that, a tough loss and double overtime, kids' attitudes. I know that you've been pleased with the practices so far and the way the kids came in the next morning on Saturday and just good attitudes. Yeah,
the kids know that we're doing the right things. They know that we're pushing them to fix the little things. They understand that more games are given away than won. Mm-hmm. And we're 2 for 2 now on giving games away, doing silly things. But their attitude has been great. They came in. We had a great Labor Day practice Monday afternoon. We had a good turnout. The kids worked really hard. Probably our best Monday practice of the year. So their daubers aren't down. They know that they've got a great chance to get their first win this week at home.
Well, it is the home opener, and Mount Pleasant's coming to town, and this is a team that's also 0-2. They were beaten last week by Liberty Ilo, 49-21, and they've struggled. Their program has really been down as well too, and I hate to say, boy, it's good to have a program like that coming in that's also struggling, but they're also a football team that's very dangerous. They can make things happen. They always have good speed. Mm-hmm. Talk about Mount Pleasant and what they do well.
Yeah, they've played 2 really tough opponents. Yeah. Paris and Liberty Ilo are very talented football teams. So they've played some tough competition. They've played tougher competition than we have. So they may be a little more battle tested from that standpoint. On the other hand, we've been in closer games. Our kids are going to be used to the close game, and it's going to be a close game. And so hopefully a little bit of that experience that we got last Friday night will help us this week. They're a spread team. They run a 4-3 defense. They try to keep everything in front of you. I look for us to be able to run the football.
Yeah. When we've been doing these shows for so many years, and I used to come in and say, what are they going to do on offense? And I don't ask that anymore because
Right.
everybody runs the spread.
Sure,
I mean, just
sure.
it's unusual if somebody go, oh, they're going to be in an I formation and they're just going to run right at you. Nobody does that. So, I mean, you guys are used to that. You've seen that. And so it's all about improvement because you're going to have the bye week after this week. And so talk about the progress from week 1 to week 2 and what you want to see this week in week 3.
This week, I think we're really focusing on our special teams. We felt like they hurt us quite a bit last Friday night, and we've got to find a way to fix the little mistakes. They're not big glaring mistakes, and what happens is a play takes place in a game, and you don't perform your job well. You do incorrect technique, and you get away with it because the ball happened to go to the other side of the field on that play.
Yeah.
So then the next time the same situation arises, you use the same poor technique because you got away with it last time. But this time the ball came your way, and now you're in trouble. And so you got to get out of those bad habits. You have to believe in the importance of doing your job correctly and not taking a play off and say, well, this play, I'm not going to do it. You have to do it every single play. In most games, there's between 180 and 200 plays. That's a lot to ask a 16-year-old boy to do it right that many times. And most of the kids aren't on the field, but there are some kids that are on the field for 70 or 80 plays. Yeah. And they've got to lock in and do their job correctly.
Yeah, you hear about the different levels of football from high school to college to pro, and that's one of the big things they say is you cannot ever take a play off. You always have to do the same thing over and over and grind and do that repetitive thing over and over again. And it's easy to kind of get distracted and, maybe see somebody in the stands or something. Sure. You can't take off a play because if you do, the long touchdown pass I'm thinking about, things like that.
Sure. You got to do your job. And saying that means you have to trust the guy next to you to do his job. Because as soon as you start thinking, well, I got to help my buddy because of what happened the last play, that's when you're going to get in trouble and you're going to get caught not doing your job, and then the whole team's got to pay.
Yeah, so many people I think put so much emphasis on, oh, they have great athletes on that team, but it's people I don't think take into account the fact of working together and the teamwork. And you may have a guy more talented right here, but it doesn't matter if he's always trying to cover for this guy that he thinks is less talented. That's a problem.
It is a problem, and a great example of the less talented kid is our offensive line right now is playing really well. They're not the most talented kids on the team, but as a unit, as a group, they trust each other, and they know that the guy next to him is going to do his job correctly. And so that group of kids on our team is playing really well right now because they believe in the guy next to them.
A lot of people will look at the fact you said a moment ago that you're moving people around still, particularly in special teams, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the kids that were there haven't performed as well. You're still looking for that mixture that goes into the cake that makes it taste so well.
Sure.
Because ingredients.
Yeah, because as a coach, when you watch the video and you see a kid do it right, the first play of special teams in the first quarter, but he's doing it wrong in the third or fourth quarter, why is the kid doing it differently? Well, is he doing it different because he's starting on defense, he's playing 90 plays, because we've got him on all the special teams units, while you've got another kid over here that's fresh on the sideline? Moves are not always made just because, hey, that kid's not doing it right. Moves are sometimes made because you're thinking, hey, this kid's on the field too much, and this kid can help us. We need to get him on the field to try to get people fresh legs on the field.
You talked about process a lot since you've been here, and it's been a couple of games, and I know a lot of fans, a lot of people look at that and say, oh man, they're off to a rough start, but you don't really see it that way. As long as the process, you can see that process moving along and getting the players indoctrinated into your system and your coaching staff system. So I know you feel strongly about this process idea.
Right. The thing is this: if we were undefeated right now, it really wouldn't matter in the long run, because being 0-2 or being 2-0 should have no effect on how you approach each practice. But human nature tells you that if you would have won that game in double or triple overtime last Friday night, you might not have come and worked out quite as hard on Labor Day. You might have thought, hey, we're getting better, I don't have to work as hard. And that's not the right way to approach it. Even when you lose and you say, well, I'm going to work harder, that's not the right way to approach it. The way to approach it is, I'm going to work hard every day with the same intensity, whether I won or lost, and I'm going to find everything I can find that I didn't do right, and I'm going to fix it. And that's the only way you're going to get better. And what's going to happen, I told the kids, I said, what's going to happen, man, if you keep fixing the little things, we're going to get on the bus one night, and you're going to look at each other, and you're going to say, can you believe we beat those guys? And I'm going to turn around and say, of course you did. You did all the little things right tonight. Yeah. And that's what you're shooting for. That end result of follow the process and you'll find a good result.
It's funny you talk about if we were 0-2 versus 2-0, because last year Jacksonville started off 3-0.
Sure.
And played Ennis in the first district game very well, and 3-1. You go into that next game, and then the wheels fell off, and they finished. Fighting Indians went 1-6 the rest of the way. So early wins are great; they feel good, but sometimes they give you a little false sense of security, maybe about where you are in this process that you talk about. So
well, it's hard when you're winning. It's hard when you win a game to go in, sit down in the coach's office, have a staff meeting, and say, "We got to change this. We got to change this. We got to change." Not very many people win and then go in and say, hey, we got to change this.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier when you don't get the W to go in and say, what's really going on here? What do we really need to fix? And so we are going to get better because of the losses, because of the human nature of, I'm going to really grind now. I'm going to really focus on the little things.
You mentioned how well your offensive line is playing as a unit. That's obvious the way that the Fighting Indians have been able to run the football the last couple of weeks. Ran into a few cramps last week, and you had to put some different people in the ball game. I know you're pleased with the progress of the passing game and from week 1 to week 2 especially, and your quarterbacks came in, I think, and did really well.
Yeah, it was really good to see Isaiah come in the game and execute. He had a rough start on his first series, but then Cam got a little banged up, and our intentions are to keep playing Isaiah and keep playing both quarterbacks, because especially in this tough district, especially as much as we run our quarterback, guys are going to get banged up. So they're both going to have to be able to play. And for Isaiah to run right off the bench, run out there and run the ball in for a touchdown, that was a great sign for us.
Defensively, Dedrick Tatum, of course, had a monster game, and Xandrick Morrow played very well. And boy, I like the young sophomore, Josh McDowell, coming in and stripping that football right when you needed it. And it's good to see players make plays when you need them like that.
Yeah, and the thing about that is we have a thing called Turnover Tuesday. So the point of emphasis on Tuesday on defensive practice is take the ball away from the other team. And which you have to kind of have, give the kids goals, as they practice. And the rip drill that Josh performed to perfection on that play, it was very encouraging to see that happen. And what happens is once Josh has had success doing that, you'll see Josh doing that a lot more now.
Yeah, it works. What they showed me in practice works, so that's the keys. Well, Coach, there were several highlights in the ball game against Palestine. Let's take a look at those right now.
Okay. Yeah, we got an inside zone run and play called there, and Wuda bounces out the back door and makes a great run. The offensive line did a great job there.
Tough play here. Yeah,
another little thing, getting a player late on the field. Jacoby did a great job just stepping in and getting onto the field to get our 11th guy on there, but that's not being aware on the sidelines of what's going on in the football game. And you've got to be locked in, so we end up with the wrong person out there, and ends up being a big play in the game. Okay, this is just poor coaching on my part right here. We had run the same play the play before, and the inside route had been wide open, so I told the quarterback to look over the inside. But it ended up because they had double covered Cash up the sideline the play before.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and they end up double covering the inside route. And that goes to show you always let your quarterback make the read.
Well, these things happen.
Yeah.
Here's a great play. This is 4th down too, isn't it?
Yeah, this is 4th down and 22, I believe. And we saw some single coverage on the backside of trips there with Cash. So we had a play set up where we could roll to the left and throw the post backside and hopefully get a big play there.
And here's the last play of the ball game here, so close. Double overtime here to try to extend it right here.
Yeah, you can see a little hole right there to the right. If we could have bounced it, I think we could have got in. Really a shame because our kids had done such a great job of blocking all night. and we just missed the hole there a little bit.
Mount Pleasant coming in for the first home game. Coach, it's always an exciting night to have a home game at Tomato Bowl. It's going to be a huge crowd. Talk about the ambiance of the game and then getting the kids ready. It's the first home game. Has that played into any of y'all's coaching philosophy this week about how to get ready? Because, you know, when you're going on the road, you got kind of a captive audience there. But when it's a home game, a few more distractions there.
Yeah, the danger is someone thinking they have to do more than they have to do. Don't do any more than you have to do. Just do your job and find that intensity level that you can maintain the whole game. Because you don't want to get out there and start the game with so much adrenaline going that by the middle of the second quarter you're already gassed and cramping up. So you've got to find that intensity level you can play with, and find your niche. Find what it is that you've got to do your job, so that the whole team can be. If you can get 22 guys doing their job correctly, then you're unbeatable.
I think I know the answer to this, but the keys to the game, the little things.
Yeah.
I know that's a big key, but what are some other things that you see particularly about Mount Pleasant that you feel like you guys can attack and have success?
Yeah, they're going to be real vanilla on defense. They really believe strongly in their 4-3. We've got to be patient offensively and make sure that we take advantage of some of the alignments that they're going to give us. Their game really is keep the ball in front of you, so they're going to take away the downfield passing, and so we've got to be patient there, not try to force things there. Just because you threw the ball last week doesn't mean you have to go all crazy and air it out. Our game really is ball possession football, which we've done a great job of the last two games.
Yeah.
Keep the ball and don't let the other team have the ball.
Your time of possession last week, I think it was 28 minutes, and it was 18 for Palestine.
Right.
That's a pretty good spread.
Yeah, we've done a great job of that. So we've got to keep doing that. We've got to continue to work on our up-tempo offense, which helped us a lot last week. And then defensively, we've made some adjustments that I think might help us in some of our coverages. I'm looking forward to see how that plays out for us.
Well, it's the home opener, Jacksonville versus Mount Pleasant at Tomato Bowl. Kickoff is at 7:30. We'll be on the air at 103.9. At 7 o'clock, we'll have the Wayne Coleman Show. Hope to see you out there Friday night. For head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signals.